afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another missing video. Today's video may be pretty short. There isn't a whole lot of information on this case, which if you've been coming to my channel for a while, you will know that a lot of the cases I cover don't have a ton of information to them because they are cases that aren't very well known and that need more attention. If you hear a soft rumbling in the background, I apologize. That is my cat. I tried to get her out of here, but she knows how to open the door, so I really can't do much about it. Anyway, let's get on with today's case. In 2007, 55-year-old Lark Lorraine Montague was a wife, mother, and grandmother living in Magna, Utah. She and her husband Dennis had been married for 23 years and had 4 children together. Lark would go missing, and right before her disappearance, Lark had been super stressed out. One of her daughters had recently moved back into her home with 5 children, and they were also raising 3 grandchildren and another 3-year-old boy full-time. I'm not sure if the little boy was a foster child or another relative or what that situation was, but Lark wasn't used to that. She wasn't used to having so many children in the home, and that would be a lot for anyone. Lark had been struggling with depression, high blood pressure, and she also had type 2 diabetes. She took medication for all of those issues, and she had started drinking more, and she was also taking pain pills. Add that in with depression and diabetes and high blood pressure medication, and that's a really bad combination. Her excessive drinking was causing problems in her marriage. Her husband had found empty bottles of Jägermeister hidden throughout their home, and he wasn't afraid one bit to tell her how he felt about it. So they did fight, but I don't think their fights were ever violent or anything like that. I think it was just mostly him speaking his opinion to her. On Friday, September 21st of 2007, Lark's husband Dennis had gone to lay down in bed. He wasn't asleep yet. He had taken an Ambien and was waiting for it to take effect. He noticed his wife Lark pacing back and forth in the hall, and this was a telltale sign she had been drinking. I guess pacing was something she did often if she was under the influence. Once Lark knew that Dennis was asleep, she left their home driving his pewter-colored 2002 Chevy Trailblazer. She drove about 4 blocks away to a friend's home for a party, and she stayed there drinking until around 3 a.m. When it was time to leave, another friend that had also been at the party followed Lark home in their vehicle to make sure she got home okay. This friend was a male, and he says that he watched her pull into her driveway and then drove on, but when he looked in his rearview mirror, he noticed her backup lights come on and she backed out of her driveway. He didn't wait to see where she was going or turn around to follow her. He just went on home. In my opinion, not a good friend. Remember that old campaign from 1993, Friends Don't Let Friends Drive Drunk? Cool, you followed them home, that's a start, but maybe that friend was drinking too and didn't want to get in trouble themselves, so they just drove home, but they could have called her husband or another friend to let them know. Give someone a heads up and look out for your friend. That's what should have been done. And that's my PSA for today. Early the next morning, Lark's son returned home and noticed pieces of a taillight laying in the driveway. And he also could see that the chain link fence beside the driveway was damaged. It looked like someone had rammed into it. So he went in the house and woke up his dad and told him about the damage and that his mother was not yet home. Dennis got out of bed and started checking the local bars for Lark or the Trailblazer, thinking she was probably still out drinking, or maybe he figured she had gotten too drunk and had passed out in the vehicle. But when he didn't find her or her SUV in any of the bar parking lots and no one had heard from her, he did report it to police and, started contacting everyone, her friends, family, to see if anyone had heard from her. One of her friends did report seeing the Trailblazer driving past the Cypress Credit Union in downtown Magna. The person calling said they saw her drive into a curb and then head south on Highway 111. Another person called into the police saying they worked as a bartender at a place in Tooele, and that a woman fitting Lark's description had been there and had ordered a Bud Light with a sidecar of Jaeger, which was what Lark normally drank. About a week after Lark was last seen, a friend that knew Lark said they were positive they saw her driving a gold Toyota Corolla in Wendover. Someone also called in a tip that they had seen Lark at a Mexican restaurant in Magna, which was just about 5 miles from her home, the restaurant was. So it was pretty close, but nothing really panned out with any of those tips. Someone else called in saying that Lark was deceased and her body was in a closet inside a home somewhere. But this call turned out to be a prank. And that is one thing I will never understand. I don't understand how anyone could think it was fun or funny to call in a false tip on someone that is missing, knowing that their family is suffering. I just don't understand what kind of person could do that. Lark's husband, Dennis, thought maybe she had went to see her parents in Fort Worth. Her mother was battling cancer. Maybe she decided she wanted to see her mom and didn't tell anyone she was going, but she didn't show up at her parents' house. No one, not even her very best friend or her kids, have heard anything from her. It was thought that maybe she intentionally left. Maybe having all those kids in the house was just too much for her and she wanted to take off and start over. But she didn't take anything with her. No clothes, no personal belongings. She didn't even take her medication. No prescriptions were filled, and there was zero activity on her bank or credit card accounts. Lark's daughter, the mother of the 3 children Lark had been caring for, did pay her mother support, so it's possible she had been saving that money, maybe squirreling it away so she could leave, but Lark adored her grandchildren. Even though they were a lot to take care of and it was something she had to get used to, she loved them, and Dennis and the rest of her family don't believe that she ever would have left them. Law enforcement has done searches. Lakes and ponds were checked in case she, in her intoxicated state, had driven off the road into a body of water. But the bodies of water have fences around them, and there was no damage to them like there should be if a vehicle, especially a large SUV like a Trailblazer, drove through them. Also, those bodies of water aren't really deep enough, I believe, to hide a big SUV. Now, I'm not sure exactly how deep they are. I know I just read that they're not deep enough to hide an entire car. Helicopter searches have found nothing. Her husband has even taken it up on himself to hike Butterfield Canyon in search for her. He has reviewed security camera footage from places of business, and he has posted flyers everywhere. I mean, all the way up to Las Vegas. These flyers are everywhere, and there haven't been any more tips that have come in, and no one has seen her. The vehicle has still not been spotted. 7 months after Lark disappeared, her son, Dennis Jr., died of a drug overdose, which is incredibly sad. Not only is the family having to deal with Lark disappearing, but now they've lost one of their children, one of their siblings. And I personally feel that she would have shown back up, that Lark would have shown back up when that happened if she were still alive, unless she is somewhere and doesn't know. Like I previously said, there have been no other sightings of Lark or the Trailblazer. Dennis divorced her, citing abandonment instead of having her declared dead. Dennis has kept a pair of Lark's pajamas and a house slipper sealed in a plastic bag in case tracking or cadaver dogs would someday need them. He did pass a polygraph, and I really think Dennis and her family thought that she had run off and would be back. My personal opinion, I think either one of 2 things happened. And these are just my personal speculations. I'm not saying this to try to upset anyone. But number 1, I think she wrecked, and it was one of those freak accidents where her vehicle ended up somewhere where it's hard to see and hasn't been found yet. This happens. I've read many cases on where this happens. Someone goes missing, their vehicle is found, sometimes years later, and the person's inside, and it was just in a place where it, couldn't be seen easily. And I believe if this is the case with Lark, I think that it's probably not somewhere that they have searched. I think it's probably farther away than they think. They've searched everywhere they thought she could have been with no success. So obviously, I think she and the vehicle are together, not in Magna. My theory number 2 is that someone caused her harm while she was out. Maybe she did back out of her driveway and go to a bar. Maybe she was there and someone took advantage of her inebriated state, did something to her, and ditched the car. That car, that SUV, could be sitting on some rural property in someone's old barn right now. We don't know. And that's why I do these videos, in case someone out there does know or sees Lark's picture and remembers an event that seemed insignificant until now. It's been 13 years and neither Lark or the Trailblazer has ever been found. It's a lot easier to hide a body than it is to hide an entire car. I think finding that Trailblazer is super important. If it's found and she's in it, maybe her disappearance will be explained. Maybe we can find out if this was an accident or foul play or, intentional. If it's found and she's not in it, well, there will be, hopefully, there will be evidence inside it as to what did happen to her. At the time of her disappearance, Lark was 4 feet 11 inches tall and 105 pounds. She has light brown hair and brown eyes. She had her white leather purse with her, but I do not have a clothing description. She was last seen driving a Chevrolet Trailblazer pewter in color with a license plate 215 LTE. The vehicle would most likely have damage to the taillight and the driver's side from where it is assumed that she hit the chain link fence. Now, it's been a very long time. It is a possibility that this vehicle could have been, fixed, of course, been in a body shop and not have any damage to it anymore. Lark's maiden name is Mosher or Mosher. I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce it. So if she did leave intentionally, she could be using that last name. If you have any information on Lark's disappearance, please call the Salt Lake County Sheriff's Department at 801-743-7000. Please share Lark's flyer. Please share this video if you think it will help. As always, I mean no harm in doing these videos. I am simply trying to spread awareness on the lesser known missing person cases. If you would like to support me, please hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and also I highly suggest you check out my entire missing playlist. I post videos like this every single Wednesday. Thank you all so much for being here and listening to Lark's story. Until next week, bye.